One Piece, Episode 1144. Back on Egghead, 4 colossal streaks of pitch-black lightning crashed down at the island's center. The spectacle was so overwhelming that every marine station nearby immediately turned their heads. Among them was Vice Admiral Bluegrass, whose grim expression alone made it clear she understood the severity of the situation. Even ordinary soldiers started connecting the dots. This was the same ominous phenomenon that occurred during Saint Saturn's arrival. Meanwhile, the giant warriors were still carrying Bonnie, Frankie, and Atlas when the sky split open. Bonnie's worry instantly grew, fearing for the safety of her friends. Suddenly, a massive arrow was loosed, and chaos followed. Some of the giants began striking marine vessels while the Pacifistas fought beside them. Despite their immense size, the cyborgs looked like toddlers compared to the towering giants. Dory and Brogy pressed toward the heart of the battlefield with 2 more comrades close behind. From there, the story shifted to the Holy Land of Merry Joys. Vegapunk's pre-recorded broadcast continued to play, raising questions about what he truly possessed. The grand chamber where the 5 elders had debated for decades now lay completely empty. At its center glowed a lone summoning circle. In the span of only minutes, Vegapunk demonstrated yet another invention: Vega Coffee. A single drop transformed plain water into steaming hot coffee instantly, an innovation that could change the world. But more pressing than coffee was time itself. They wondered aloud how much longer they had before unveiling the truth to humanity. In reality, the delay wasn't necessary at all. It was only because of a decision they had made earlier. By their own rules, they still needed to wait 7 more minutes. Meanwhile, the ritual circles across Merry Joys were steadily calling forth the remaining elders. Luffy was frozen in shock. Around Saturn stood the dark silhouettes of 4 nightmarish beasts. As if mocking the situation, Vegapunk's recording expressed doubt that anyone would be able to interfere with the broadcast in time. Elsewhere, Sanji sprinted with Stella's unconscious body in his arms, urgently contacting Nami and the rest of the crew. Luffy's horror only deepened as the monstrous figures became clearer. Saturn's true form resembled a Gyuki, a yokai that blended the body of an ox with the limbs of a spider. Legends spoke of it as a warning to sailors, a harbinger of the unknown lurking in the seas. Next came St. Marcus Mars, manifesting as an Itsumaid, a ghastly bird-like fiend with the tail of a serpent. Its very name meant that which will always come. In folklore, it was said to either appear as a cursed omen of death or as a guardian of the underworld that feasted on souls. No matter the tale, its presence meant calamity. Its design might even be the most striking of the 5. St. Topman Warkery appeared as a Feng Shi, a boar-like creature pulled from Chinese myth. Though less widely known than the others, its appearance wasn't entirely unfamiliar to One Piece history. Remember Yama, the mountain god defeated by Odin in Wano? That too had been a divine boar. Perhaps such worship originated from an ancient terror of Topman's existence? Saint Ethan Baron the Seviv. Nusjuro emerged in the form of a Bokutsu, another deeply obscure yokai. Its mythological roots seem drawn from many sources, but across traditions, Bokutsu was consistently tied to the imagery of death. Finally, Saint Shepherd Jupiter revealed himself as a massive sandworm, a design possibly influenced by the Dune franchise. Together, these 5 abominations weren't just monsters, they were the ultimate rulers of the world government. And seeing them in this form, it was no wonder Sabo had been struck with terror. Still, the Straw Hats and their allies had far more immediate concerns. Ethan Baron released a hideous equine screech as his skeletal frame became wreathed in fire. He surged forward, seemingly guided by advanced observation haki. Using it, he pinpointed a Pacifista that had been unleashing hell on the marine fleet. In a horrifying twist, his monstrous horse face warped, its eyes sinking into his nostrils, revealing the grotesque visage of his human form. In a single instant, the distance vanished. The next, Nusjuro's black blade sliced through the 3rd-generation Pacifista. The sudden halt in bombardment left the Marines stunned. None had seen the exact strike, but the Pacifista was destroyed, and Nusjuro wasn't done. He carved through several more units in rapid succession, all within the blink of an eye. To the outside eye, all that could be seen was a spectral horse racing down the coast. Everywhere, Pacifistas fell, but they bore not clean cuts. Instead, they were half frozen, ice creeping over their frames. The revelation was chilling. Nusjuro wasn't only a black blade wielder, which was impressive enough, but he also commanded the power to freeze his enemies solid. What's even more frightening is not only his speed, but also the fact that he wiped out entire platoons of pacifistas, machines tough enough to hold off a buster call, in just seconds. And the scary part, he didn't destroy them outright. Pacifistas remain some of the government's most valuable assets, so instead of smashing them, he deliberately neutralized them. This reminds me of Hyogoro's teaching back in Wano. A true sword can cleave through steel when willed, yet will leave paper untouched if the swordsman so desires. Likewise, Zoro's childhood master, Koshiro, once explained that the height of swordsmanship lies in the ability to protect what you wish while cutting only what you choose. If Mihawk is said to be the world's greatest swordsman, then how often do you think this elder has needed to display his blade over the last 8 centuries, and really, would anyone live to tell the tale afterward? Add to that his skeletal frame and chilling frost abilities. It's hard not to be reminded of Brook. Sanji glanced back just in time to see St. Marcus Mars rise into the sky. He quickly radioed the crew, particularly the women, urging them to retreat immediately. Though he couldn't fully describe the nightmare they faced, he knew lingering meant death. Nami, hearing the urgency, was puzzled but ready to comply. Meanwhile, a marine doctor examined the pacifistas and reported their circuits had been frozen solid, leaving them paralyzed. The Marines erupted in cheer, but Doberman instead saw opportunity. With the machines disabled, they could seize Bonnie and reassert full control. At the same moment, St. Mars's mythic form loomed over Egghead's upper levels, while Ethan Barron continued freezing more Kuma clones across the island. The Navy already knew Bonnie was fleeing northeast with the Straw Hats, and by now, half the pacifistas were gone. Sanji didn't spell out the details, but he warned everyone. A monster was closing in fast, and running was their only option. Mars gave a blood-curdling shriek before diving toward the island's defenses. Folklore says hearing the cry of an Itsumaid is an omen of death, and things were looking grim. Explosions rang out as lasers fired, but if Mars's endurance matched Saturn's, then such attacks wouldn't slow him. Ethan Barron pressed on, freezing more of the clones without pause. In the island's center, Luffy weaved through Saturn's writhing limbs, while Jupiter suddenly launched himself headfirst into the ground. Luffy instantly realized the Worm Elder was tunneling below. Even with 2 of them splitting off, 3 of the Elders still converged on him at once. Sanji's line was picked up by Usopp, who needed no encouragement to run. Unfortunately, Zoro and Jinbei hadn't made it back yet. At least the Thousand Sunny had been secured. Brook, ever cheerful, insisted everything would be fine, until Lilith smacked him, pointing out it was all thanks to Usopp's quick thinking. Recognizing how dire things were, Jinbei decided he'd drag Zoro back by force if necessary. In his clash with Rob Lucci, one of Zoro's blades spiraled upward. Lucci taunted about chasing the overwhelming Haki signatures flooding the island, while Zoro sensed them as well. Soon, both fighters came into Jinbei's view. Sanji urged Jinbei to end the fight, saying Zoro was endangering everyone. He even called Zoro a liability, loud enough for Zoro to hear. The insult made Zoro pause briefly, which Lucci mistook as an opening. The CP0 assassin launched his spotted handgun technique, yet Zoro merely tilted his head, caught his falling sword midair, clenched it between his teeth, and finally entered his full 3-sword stance. He unveiled a brand new attack. Spotted Leopard, a Hava hunt seemingly designed just to end Lucci. With that strike, the CP0 agent was defeated. Zoro once again proved he was built differently. Meanwhile, Luffy stared in horror as the monstrous worm erupted beneath him. Its gaping maw swallowed him whole in an instant, but 2 towering figures charged in, old allies Dory and Brogy. Brogy asked if Dory saw the boy, and Dory, recognizing Luffy's face, called it nostalgic. They agreed that no friend of theirs should rot inside a beast's gut. With a combined swing, they executed their legendary move, Sun Saw, cleaving off the worm's head. Luffy burst free, laughing, shocked yet overjoyed to see the giant warriors here. Their massive grins filled the battlefield. Brogy bellowed that it had been far too long, while Dory explained they had come because the burden had grown unbearable. But let's not forget, many worm species can regrow severed body parts, even heads, and it's hard to imagine this elder being any different. Honestly, the only realistic ways to stop them would be sea stone or drowning in seawater. That's assuming all 5 are even devil fruit users. Their monstrous forms were never given fruit names after all, but defeating them isn't the mission right now. Still, how surreal is it that the Straw Hats are staring down the 5 elders themselves?